Hey friends, good evening. Good evening. Who's out there tonight? Who's going to join me live? I'm a little late tonight, but if you're out there, friends, watch, join in, and let's talk about immigration issues tonight. What I'm going to focus on are several questions that I received just last week, Wednesday, when I did my live webinar on my 3 smart strategies to pass the public charge test. So I see that some people are joining. As usual, guys, you know the drill. Just say something so that I know who's out there, and also give me some likes and hearts and all of that. So tonight, again, we're going to address several questions that I received during my webinar last Wednesday on the my new webinar, actually, on how to pass the public charge test. So before I get started with that, I do want to mention a couple of things, friends. If you're on my email list, just say I'm on the list. I saw your email. I got it today. Today I sent out an email to everyone letting them know, or letting you guys know, that I totally get what people are going through these days. Things are tight. People are people are hunkering down, and some people are actually at home and not making any money anymore because they had to leave the job because of all these shelter-in-place policies and all this stuff that's going on with the coronavirus. And so I sent out an email to let people know that I'm sensitive to that, and I know that they're struggling, and that it may even get tougher for some people in the days ahead. And so with that being said, I did knock off $50 off my consultation fee, friends, because I think that during this time we all have to make sacrifices, right? And so between now and June 1st, the consultation fee to meet with me via video or over the phone is $150. So you want to get your $150, not $1.50, but your $150 consultation with me booked. And so you could just call the office at 718-301-9732 or visit McBeanlaw.com and get your consultation scheduled. And so some people have already saw the deal and they started jumping on it and scheduling their appointment with me, which is great. So yeah, friends, between now and June 1st, my consultation fee is only $150. Also, I told people in the email that for every new case that we take on going forward between now and June 1st, we're knocking off 10% as well on legal fees. So I'm adding even another layer of discount, and then my clients are also seeing some discounts as well. So these are some of the things that I'm doing on my end to make it clear to you guys that, listen, I get it. This is shared sacrifices here, okay? And so I'm doing my part to ensure that you can still move forward with your immigration matter regardless of what's going on with the economy. And, I'm sensitive to that. So with that being said, I see that some people are on. Hi, Anne-Marie, Donna, Francisca, Charlotte, and some others. I don't see your name popping up quite yet, but if you're on, just say something and let me know that you're on. Okay, friends. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the questions. It's really late here in New York. I don't know where you're at, but it's almost 10 o'clock p.m. I had a really busy day here. So the questions that I received were from my webinar last Wednesday. Okay, first question. Will they be considering petitioners' gross income or the net income under the poverty guidelines? And so this person is asking about when they are filling out the Declaration of Self-Sufficiency, which is the I-944. They want to know, number one, they want to know what type of income should they actually list on that form. Okay, and so I do have the I-944 in front of me, friends, and the form specifically says on page 3 of the Declaration of Self-Sufficiency, it says, list your and your household members' total income. total income from the most recent tax income, federal income tax returns, if any. And so the government generally is looking for total income, and that's found on line 7B. Line 7B of the new 1040. Okay, so it's total income. Hi, Paula. It's great to see you. Okay, next question. I have a lot of questions, but tonight we're only going to tackle just a few because it is a bit late. Okay, does assets back home count? So the context for this question is you're filling out the Declaration of Self-Sufficiency, or even the other form, the DS 5540, which people have to fill out who are going through the consular process. And so the question is, okay, as you're thinking about and putting down your assets and your household members' assets and all of that, can you include stuff or assets that you own back home? And so I would say that this question applies more so to the Declaration of Self-Sufficiency, obviously, right? Because you're talking back home. And the answer is yes. Yes. So if you own good property, real property back home, land, house, those kinds of things. If you have assets in the bank, savings accounts, those kinds of type of assets, you should definitely include that as well, because it's very important to show that you have a very strong assets or resources or income. Very, very important under public charge. And so, yes, you can definitely include assets that you have back in your country. Okay, next question is about whether if a person has a successful employment-based petition. Okay, if they have a successful or approved I-140 petition, does that increase their chances of getting through, and does public charge still really apply to them? And so, firstly, public charge does apply to employment-based adjustment of status process. So if you're here in the U.S. and you're going through the employment-based process and you're going to adjust your status, public charge does attach to you as well. And so, so if you have a job, obviously you have a job lined up, and the income, it all depends on what the income is, really, and then your household size and all of that. It's, just because you have an approved I-140 doesn't necessarily mean you're still not going to go through the rigorous public charge scrutiny and tests. You still have to line up with respect to all those other factors related to health, age, education, skills. And so certainly people who do go through the I-140 process, many of them, obviously they're working, right? They are going through an employment-based process. So that's a plus. That is definitely a plus. And most likely those individuals have health insurance through that employer as well. So that's a bigger plus, okay, when it comes onto public charge. And so, but you've got to make sure that everything else falls into place. Don't just think that, okay, just because I have an I-140 approved or a job lined up that I'm all good. No, you still have to make sure that you're meeting all of those other areas that public charge requires as well. Next question. Okay, what affidavits of support is needed in order to prove that my job can pay me adequately enough? And so I would say you're probably referring to like a letter from your employer. If you do submit, well, you should, if you're employed, you should submit a letter from your employer stating what your salary is, how many hours per week are you working, how long you've been there, what do you do, and other kinds of details about the job. So I would say that's what's needed in that kind of letter from your employer. And if your employer is offering you any other types of benefits, such as health insurance or any other types of benefits, it's nice for them to list that in there as well, okay? On company letterhead, make sure that whatever letter you get from your employer is on company letterhead and signed by someone who is some official there, whether it's the HR person or the CEO, whoever. Just make sure that it is signed and it is on letterhead. I can't tell you the number of times people miss those details. Okay, next question. Is there a certain amount of savings that a beneficiary should be prepared to show they are financially stable when moving from their country to the United States. And so honestly, I think it all depends. Obviously, the more the better, right? But it depends on everything else that you have in your packet. If you're strong in some areas of the packet, but you might be, most people have some weaknesses, right, with their immigration packet. Most people do have a weakness. And so in order to, I'm not going to say, oh, it's good to have 10,000 or 5,000 or 30,000 or 50,000. Obviously, the more money you have in savings coming to the United States is critically important. And so I'm not going to throw out a number there because I don't think it's fair to throw out a number to you. And you might be in a country where obviously $10,000 may be an enormous amount of money. So it all depends. Remember, the government is not looking at just one factor. The government is looking at the totality of circumstances to determine whether you're likely to become a public charge in the future. So I don't think there's a key dollar amount in savings account or checking account that any one person need to have. Yes, the more money you have, I'm just going to say it like this. The more money you have, the better your chance of being approved if you don't do this strategically and if you don't do it right. If you don't think about it from a strategic standpoint and say to yourself, well, I don't have a lot of money in the bank, or my relatives don't have a lot of money in the bank. How else can I get through? How else can I prove to the government that I am self-sufficient today and I will be in the future no matter what happens? And those are the strategies that I taught in my webinar, which I think you guys really need to sit through, okay? Because it's a great introduction into a deeper dive that I'm doing with the Academy starting on April 15th, and I'll share more information about that with you guys, and you'll hear about it in the webinar as well. But there's ways of building your case to show that you're not going to become a public charge despite the fact that you don't really have a heavy bank account. There may be other areas of your life and your story and the facts in your case that really can be bolstered to tell the true story of who you are and to show that the positive factors about you really outweigh the negative ones. So I don't want anyone to get really hung up on any particular dollar amount that you need to really meet in a bank account. Because if you hear me throw out a number and you're thinking, oh my God, that's huge, there's no way, that's unfair to you. I don't want to discourage you, especially when there might be other aspects of your file that is strong and that you could still get through in spite of the fact that you don't have any money in your bank account. Hi, Gayatri. Thank you for watching from Guyana. Okay, let's move on. Let's see, where am I? So I'm going through some questions that I received last Wednesday during my free webinar on 3 strategies to pass the public charge test. Is public charge applied to petitions filed on or after effective day of the law? And so the answer is really simple, and it's on USCIS's website. And public charge applies to applications and petitions that are postmarked on or after February 24th, 2020. So it's all about the postmark date. Was it postmarked on or after the February 24th? Then if that's the case, then it does apply to, public charge applies to your file. And then the next question is, how about petitions filed prior to the effective date? And so the answer is no, as you've heard me say and others say, and you guys know this by now. No, it doesn't apply to petitions that were filed before the effective date. Does public charge affect K-1 visa? Yes, it does. And I have a video on McBean Immigration TV that talks about how it impacts K-1 people. Specifically, they would have to go through two rounds of inquiry. The first public charge inquiry happens at the consular level during that embassy interview, where your fiance can be given the DS 5540 and say, hey, fill this out on the spot, or questions may be asked of that individual at that during that interview. Okay, so it does hit them that first time. And then secondly, it will hit you guys when your fiance is here and you guys are going through the adjustment of status process. Okay. Anyone else put lemon in their water? If you put lemon in your water, say, I do that, I do that, I do that. Okay. All right. Next question. How do I prove that I don't have a U.S. credit report with any of the credit agencies in the U.S.? Okay, so what is this question is touching on the fact that there is a requirement in the in the I-944 Declaration of Self-Sufficiency, which do ask you to disclose your credit history. Do you have a credit report? Do you have a credit score? If so, what is the score and all of that? And so the question is, well, listen, firstly, I don't have a social security number. How am I going to get a credit report to prove that I don't have any credit here in the United States? And this question has come up before in McBean Immigration TV. And so, friends, the short answer is this. Yeah, you do need a social security number, from what I understand, to get a credit report. However, when a person is applying for adjustment of status and they apply for the work permit, they would also get the social security number at that point. And yeah, they could get the credit run, and the agency will just come back and say, you don't have a credit report. You don't have a credit history at all. And so that's what would be submitted, and that's sufficient. If you have a solid, good credit back in your home country, however, good idea to be able to show that, get a report from that from back home. Okay, if you have a really nice credit history from back home, that's something that I would say you should get. I think that's it. That's all I'm going to cover tonight. There's a lot more questions. I'm going to tackle them in another video. I wanted to keep this very short. It is late. And there's a question from Giovanni asking, do you think because of the coronavirus, the government will give amnesty? I highly, highly doubt that. As a matter of fact, they don't even want to shut down immigration court proceedings for those who are detained behind bars right now. So they're basically putting attorneys at risk. They're putting the detainees at risk. They're putting judges at risk. ICE officials are at risk. The government really hasn't stepped up even to protect its own immigration officials, right, with respect to coronavirus, because they are very zealous about deporting people. And so given amnesty, I doubt that's ever going to happen under the Trump administration. So I think not. Clara, thanks for watching from Baltimore. Are you guys on shutdown in Maryland like we are? I see that Leedy is watching from New Jersey. Let's see. I think that's it. Okay, so friends, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to come before you live maybe in another day or two, answer more questions. Tomorrow, actually, I'm going to be meeting with my Smart Immigration Academy people, so it will not be tomorrow, but I may be able to come back on Wednesday and tackle more questions. I'll put the link again to my free webinar on my 3 strategies to pass the public charge test. Watch that. Send me the questions as you're watching the webinar. There's a function in there that allows you to send in your question, and so I may be able to tackle your question in one of these live sessions. Friends, again, get your consultation in with me. The fee is now only $150 until June 1st, and then 10% off all new cases that we sign on between now and June 1st. So you don't want to miss those special discounts that I have for you. All right, friends, it was such a pleasure. Thank you for that, Leedy. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. All right, friends, thanks for watching from Philadelphia as well. Giovanni says, how can I get your contact? Well, sure. So you could go to www.mcbeanlaw.com or give our office a call at 718-301-9732. You could call at any hour of the day, actually, because when we're not working during business hours, the call center is taking calls and booking appointments. So you could always reach us at any hour of the day. Friends, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.